What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to rank every character in Scream 2022. Now, these are all the major characters that were in the movie, I guess for some amount of time, okay, but they were like characters in promotion, etc. I guess what I want to say very, very early on is this is obviously going to spoil the movie. Won't matter if you watch this years from now, but obviously if you watch it a couple days after the movie comes out, it will matter. So I will be spoiling key things that happen to give my reasoning why I'm putting these people where I'm putting them, and let's jump in right now. Coming in at number 13 has got to be Vince. Now, none of these characters, by the way, I thought were bad. Not a single one of them. I thought some were just very underused, and it couldn't be more correct with Vince. I think we all had kind of assumed this would happen, but maybe hoped not, in the fact that Vince was in no promotional things whatsoever. Kyle Gallner was not part of the promotional, press tour. Absolutely nothing. And Vince had about, he was stalking them, at the, when they were all sitting at the table together. He went to the bar to talk to them, and then he was outside and he died. That was it. He was in very, very little. He did seem cool. I liked his voice. I liked the idea of like an aging guy. I really didn't think anything was bad there. I thought his kill was it was brutal. It was very like one and done kind of thing. Very, like a method. Like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to stab you through the throat and it's going to be over with. And that's kind of all that happened. And so there's really no reason to put him any higher because he was in the movie for maybe a minute and a half. Number 12, I'm going to put Wes. And this actually hurts because I think Wes or Dylan Minnette, maybe in terms of pure acting, is maybe the best of every single new cast member. That Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, any of them. I think Dylan Minnette is probably the best pure acting, just experience of all of them. And I liked Wes. I did. But I think about it now and I say, again, though, he wasn't in it. He was in very, very little of this movie. And so it is a little unfair to these bottom people because the people that made it further in the movie had more chances to become a character. Whereas Wes, I really thought they could do stuff with him, or I didn't think they would kill him off so early, and yet he was killed. I think it was probably to get the whole For Wes thing. That was the whole idea of the party, was to celebrate Wes's life. So For Wes, I really loved that because it wasn't really for him. It was for Wes Craven. So that was beautiful. I thought that was really, really well done. But in terms of the character, they didn't really give him a lot of chances to do more. So I put him at number 12. Number 11, I'm going to put his mom, Judy. I liked her. I liked her a lot. I may like her more in Scream 4 than I like her here. Again, though, because she's not really in this movie. But every scene she's in, I was always happy to see her. Always. And I think now is when we start getting a little bit more like elite territory. Her phone call with Ghostface was really, really good. I liked it. I liked her idea of, she's into like musicals or in something else, right? So that was pretty funny. She just, I don't know, she has a personality to her where she just feels very loving. She loved Wes, right? She's like when he was saying like, why shouldn't I kill him? Why not? And she's saying like, he's a good boy. Like I love that. And her death did hurt. I mean, I think it's going to happen with any character that you see in one movie and then they carry over, right? Because you just have more time with them. So it definitely sucked to see her go. She went out fine. I thought it made sense. That was another thing I was kind of worried about, killing somebody in broad day. Now, I mean, she was literally murdered in broad daylight, but that first hit, especially for somebody who's trained, right? She's the sheriff. She knows what she's doing, but he got a quick attack in. And then, and I'm not 100% sure who that was. I'm pretty sure that was Amber that ended up killing her, but I still think it made sense because she got, the drop on her. Number 10, I'm going to put Chad. Again, I like Chad. He just didn't have too many scenes. He was in some parts of the beginning and then a huge gap of time, which is very reminiscent really to what they did in 1. It was more of a Randy thing, right? Randy stole all the scenes in 1 he was in. He was amazing. Jamie Kennedy did great, but he's actually not in it almost at all. Like rewatching, you're like, oh shoot, he's got like 5 or 6 scenes. Like he's just not in it. And that's really what you get, again, for some of these characters, specifically Chad. I think he had a pretty good personality to him. He didn't really stand out. Like out of the two, out of the twins, clearly Mindy was, she was like 1,000 times better. But there's, I think there's room to do stuff with Chad if they want, or if they want to make him kind of a quick kill in the next movie. I think either one works out, but I'll give number 10 to him. Number 9, I'm going to put Liv, his girlfriend, right after. I think she did really good. We had heard that, right, this was, I believe, the actress's first acting gig, or at least first major one. I don't think you would have really been able to tell. I do think, again, they really limited her time. They didn't even bring her to the hospital, right? They all went to the hospital, and she's like, I can't make it, but I'll see you guys later. So it's like, okay, well, obviously that's a red herring thing, and they did that. You know what I mean? A lot of Liv's character in this movie was simply to be a suspect, like a main, because at the end of the movie, really, like, yeah, you could suspect Tara, but really you're between Amber, Richie, and Liv. Like, those are the three of them, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have Liv around. So I thought she did good with what she had. I thought she was kind of intimidating when she was talking to Mindy, and Mindy was like, I'm revising my suspect list. Like, I thought that was a really, really good scene between the two when she came in, you know, with the blood on her hands and like saying, you know, I'm not the killer. Like, I really like that. And also I feel bad for her because she got, I don't know if it's lame, but she got like just a very direct death. You know what I mean? It was like, we need you out of the picture now. We tried to convince the audience and convince Sam at that point that it was Liv, but now we're done with you, so I'm just going to shoot you in the head. So that was, I guess that was disappointing, but it was also like, ooh, like that hurt because I think Liv had, again, potential, and they just didn't really do too much with that character. Number 8, I'm going to say Amber, and the reason I'll say Amber, and I guess is why it's this quote-unquote low, is because as Amber, the normal, caring girl, A, she was barely in it, and which is not that great for a Ghostface killer, and B, she wasn't all that interesting. Now, in terms of acting and stuff, she was not bad. I'm not saying that at all. But in terms of the character of just like the normal Amber, and even like trying to, you know, suspect her or anything, really non-existent all that much. Her best scene as her normal self was in the basement with Mindy. That was easily the best sequence. Now, when she goes nuts, okay, and I guess if you qualify that some of the phone calls were her and she was Ghostface, you know what I mean? So like, if you even it out with when she was psycho and specifically at the end when she takes the mask off and then she's insane, I did like her. So it's almost like a balancing thing. I think she was weaker as herself, and then she kind of shined honestly in a lot of the same ways to me as Jill. Jill was not the greatest character. I think a lot of people would agree with that, right? But to me, when she went psycho and was like attacking herself, I thought that was really good, and I thought she kind of, Emma Roberts kind of shined there. I would say it was kind of the same thing with Amber as well. Number 7, I'm gonna give to Gail. Again, nothing against her character, and now we're at this point around halfway through the list. She was great. It's just, you know, she shined in every single scene she was in. I loved the Dewey and her conversation of why he left and taking the blame and all that stuff, and she's saying like it would have mattered. You know, if you told me that back then, it would have mattered. Awesome. Her reaction to Dewey dying, like that's I mean, I guess he was already dead at that point, but she sold it. She absolutely sold it. She was a pretty big instrumental part of the ending. I mean, she was technically the one to, you know, Sydney definitely helped, and really they all contributed to getting out of that situation with Richie and Amber, but Gail delivered the final, 2 or 3 shots to Amber, and then she lit herself on fire, and then obviously Tara finished her off, but Gail had a huge part with that. So I thought, you know, she did fantastic. Every scene she was in, she did really good, and then that's kind of it. Nothing really negative to say whatsoever. Number 6, maybe controversial, I'm going to give to Sam. I said this in a couple other videos. I do think she's one of the, well, I wouldn't say weaker characters because I'm putting her at 6 and there's 13 of them, so technically she's in the top half, but definitely in terms of like the people that survived and made it out, she is on the weaker side of things. I don't think she's bad. I think she sold a lot. I think and I said this in other videos too, I think there's a ton of potential with her character, specifically the more like kind of evil or unhinged aspects of her. Also, I mean, I love really the third act when she swoops in with the gun and you know, Sydney's like, shoot him, and then Richie comes in to stab her. From that point on, I actually think Sam did, or I guess Melissa Barrera did, really, so I would give it to her. She did phenomenal in that final act of the movie, the entire time, taking out Richie, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Like, all that stuff, really, really good. It was just the first, you know, 2 acts definitely were there. You know, she had to kind of sell the story of knowing that Billy was her dad and stuff like that. I thought it could have been better, but I mean, you know, I think she definitely made up for it at other points in the movie. Number 5, I'm going to give to Sydney. I mean, obviously, I'd want to give it to her higher. I mean, she's the queen final girl, right? You really can't do better than her. I think kind of to me, overwhelmingly, she's the best character in the franchise. She stands out in 1, she stands out in 3, and she's definitely serviceable plus in 2 and 4. You know what I mean? So, it sucks to not give her like a top 3 spot here, but I have to put her here. She's just not in it much. I mean, that's basically the thing. She's definitely incredible in every scene that she's in. She sells it. You believe, she's back as Sidney Prescott. And then again, the final house act of the movie, she's, really, really good. I love the mentality of basically shoot first, then kick the door open second. Love it. The Ghostface conversation was one of the most unique conversations we've ever seen with Ghostface, where, he's playing with her, but really what he's trying to do is stall her. He does not want her at that point to shoot these doors because it's going to, and when she says, like, I'm bored, I mean, to me, that's one of the standout lines of the movie. When I'm bored, and she puts the phone down and shoots, and he's saying, wait, because he's right there. He doesn't want to get shot, right? Because that's clearly Richie on the phone. That was awesome. That was really, really good. And I guess maybe one of the things that kind of takes a little bit from Sydney is, she definitely helps with Amber. She is in danger because she gets stabbed. So you're like, oh, shoot, like, please, for the love of God, don't do anything you might regret here. But really, Gail delivers the final, or I guess not really the final, but she's the one who really takes out Amber. But they definitely both help. I mean, when they're both lifting her up and they throw her over like the center island of the kitchen, that was awesome. So really, really good. I mean, she's always been a great character, and it was no different here. Number 4, I'm going to give to Mindy. She stole every scene she was in, including probably her shining moment was the monologue in maybe like the 30-40 minute mark of the movie, where she's talking about what is basically going on, that Sam is actually the main suspect at that point, of what the killers are trying to do in this movie, right, or what the goal of it is. I mean, she was great. She definitely was, I would say, a serviceable replacement for Randy while literally just being connected to him. I love the mentality. I love the smarts. I mean, she's smart. Like, she's watching Stab, which is obviously Scream 1, right? And she's watching as Randy won't turn around, and then she thinks, oh, maybe I should, you know what I mean? And that all happens very organically, and that really, I believe, saves her life. Obviously, she gets still sliced or stabbed, I think, in the shoulder blade, which knocks her out for the final thing, but it's, you know what I mean? I think that showed really like cleverness, where it's like she's learned, she's like such an elevated horror that she can like recognize these events playing out again. So I really liked her. She definitely did a really, really good job. Number 3 is Dewey. Again, scene stealer in every single scene he's in, from the moment you first see him, to how he kind of presents himself and talks to Sam and Richie. I thought was awesome. And then, he doesn't have too much because they obviously take him out in the hospital, but man, he gives it his all. He gives it a really good fight. That fight was, I mean, you see a little bit in the trailer, and obviously it's much more played out in the movie, and so he definitely, tries, and he wins. I mean, he wins. It's just, he should have probably shot in the head first and then left with them in the elevator. Although you could maybe argue the same thing would happen because maybe he would get distracted another way. I like that. I mean, that was my main worry with him, right? You kill off not just a legacy character, but one of the best characters in Scream history. You have, and if I'm going to believe that a 5'5" Amber that weighs 110 pounds is going to take him out, you need to make it believable. And I think they did, because he won. He was in danger when she was like just, fighting him, but he got the upper hand, and he only lost because his phone rang. And I believe that. I mean, this is a movie where phones have some sort of like psychological, like PTSD to these people. Like if your phone rings very loudly, you would probably jolt or you would look at it. So I fully believe he'd be caught off guard there. And then after that, he's screwed. And she had 2 knives, which was pretty darn clever and pretty creative there as well. So I really don't think they could have done it any differently to make it better. I think that was kind of the best we'd ever hoped to get for a legacy character death. And again, he stole, including that scene. I mean, I was just staring. I was just staring and watching, and I was like, Jesus, like they're doing it. And he sold it. Number 2, I'm going to give to Richie. Richie was probably the most, considering Richie was also in the movie a ton. I mean, this movie relied very heavily, I think, on Sam and Richie, and that's kind of why Sam was a little bit lower, because I don't think she always was at the top of her game for being in it so much. Now, yes, that is a lot to give to somebody to carry a movie. Well, arguably, she didn't have to carry the movie. But Richie, I think, did an incredible job, or Jack Quaid did an incredible job throughout. I mean, I think he sold the loving boyfriend, somebody who doesn't know about stab movies and is kind of like learning on the fly and is clever. He's funny. He's kind of innocent while not being it. You know what I mean? So I really think he did a lot of stuff in that movie very well. And I think he sold the psycho too. I mean, again, with these killers like Amber and Richie, or any of these killers, what they are like when they switch, you know, when they flip the switch, that's very important as well. And unlike Amber, I thought he was very good just playing like the fake role of a normal person, you know what I mean? Whereas Amber, I think, was a lot weaker. He was very, very good. And then when he flipped the switch, I thought that was also incredibly good. So I think he was very, very consistently good throughout the entire film, which was harder, I think, for some of these characters than others. Which means, if you've been paying attention to all the characters, number one is Tara. I looked at the list, I wrote them all down. And I was like, I'm going to give it to her. I'm going to give it to her. She is great. And as I said, like, she's the youngest one, but in that opening scene, it was so good. Like, it was really, really good. It's not anywhere near as good as the opening of 1. But, can you ever be that? All you're trying to do at this point is get as close as you can while trying slightly different things. And as I've said in past videos, that opening scene, I mean, it sold me on her being a good character, but it did not sell me on her being like the best character. That she had to earn throughout the whole film. And again, credit to her, she's great. I mean, when Sam is tearing up and telling her about the story of Billy, I believed way more in like Tara than Sam at that point, which I think honestly is like an acting thing. I really fell for Tara way more than Sam. And then Tara being again, stalked and trying to be attacked at the hospital, like again, she sold it at the end. I mean, her ability to really, I think, injure Amber quite a bit with the crutches was awesome. And then she delivered the final shot to Amber as well. She knows a little bit, right? She's a little meta, not really meta. I guess she just knows her horror stuff, right? She is funny. She has personality. She's got like spunk there. So I really think, and again, that's why I've talked about in other videos, I would have no problem with swapping them as leads. If you wanted to make Sam, if you wanted to kill off Sam or make her a killer or something to, shock the audience, but also almost get her out of the way so you can give it to Tara, I really wouldn't mind all that much, honestly, because I think Tara's the better character. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. All my other social media is in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Thank you for watching. More Scream content coming very, very soon, and I hope to see you guys there.